Before today, we started on Tuesday to inspect landmark and legacy projects of His Excellency. We commenced our inspection from the twin bridges in Mararaba, and from there we proceeded to Endo, where we visited the lithium factory, and then we went back to Kefi and inspected the Kefi overhead bridge. From there, we proceeded to the country home of His Excellency in Gude, where we visited and inspected facilities of the Faculty of Engineering of the National State University. And I'm going to give you a summary of our findings and our recommendations. And from there, we went to Akwanga and visited the Akwanga-Jos bypass, which has reduced the distance from Abuja to Jos by about 45 minutes. We also visited the underpass in Akwanga, and from there we came to Lafia and visited some of the institutions which are very dear to your heart. The Wing Commander Abdullahi Ibrahim Vocational Training Institute. Then we went to the Issa Mustafa Agwe, the first Polytechnic, and visited their facilities. We went to their workshops. We went to their laboratories, the engineering workshops and laboratories. And we went to the Lafia underpass and overhead bridges. And then, of course, the stormwater drainage channel that was built around Kilemath. We also went to the Kilema Bridge and also saw the Kof and Kaura Bridge. Your Excellency, I will, one after the other, on the basis of the sectors, mention how we felt on this visitation. One thing that was revealed to us by the visitation was the substantial and commendable investments by the national state government with engineering, technical education, and human capital development positioned as key drivers of economic transformation. On the infrastructure side, the Mararaba twin flyovers and Kefi flyovers were found to be progressing positively and satisfactorily. One is at approximately 50% completion, and the other is about 70% completion, with generally good construction standards. We came with the technical experts to assess the quality, even though we are professionals in our own right as EXCO members, that we had to come with these experts for us to have an easy ride. The completed Akwanga-Jos bypass and Akwanga underpass were also assessed positively, and we recommend stronger professional supervision on the improved safety and traffic management and better preservation of the records of these projects. For mineral resources, the Diamond New Energy lithium industry was recognized as an important step towards local mineral processing and value addition, with a reported processing capacity of about 6,000 tons per day and over 1,000 direct and indirect jobs. The facility has significant potential for employment, government revenue, and industrial development. Your Excellency, we are not surprised because your background is industrial engineering. The NSE stresses the need for environmental monitoring, responsible mining, and land reclamation. On engineering education, the Faculty of Engineering at the National State University, Gude campus, was visited, like I said earlier, and we were happy that at least they were developing engineering manpower. But what we noticed was a dearth of necessary equipment required for engineering training. So it requires additional academic staff, reliable power, improved internet connectivity, and modern workshop equipment ahead of professional accreditation. We advised the dean of the faculty that Korean engineering accreditation is key to training engineering graduates. If the university is not accredited by Korean, the graduates of that program stand to suffer at the end of the day because they will not be eligible to practice engineering in Nigeria. Technical and vocational training. The Wing Commander Abdullahi Ibrahim Vocational and Technology Institute, Lafia, was recognized for training about 10,000 beneficiaries in various trades. Additional instructors, modern equipment, accommodation, and funding are needed to meet growing demand. The equipment we saw in the workshops of this training institute was so surprising. We never saw that in Kefi, the campus of the Nasarawa State University. And Your Excellency, I happen to serve as the chairman of the Federal Government Committee on the revamping of faculties of engineering and technology in Nigerian universities. And I have traveled to about 12 universities who are beneficiaries of the first tranche of that intervention. We have visited their workshops and laboratories, but I can tell you that what we saw in Wing Commander Abdullah Ibrahim Vocational Training Institute is a lot better than almost all the workshops we visited in the university. The Isa Mustafa Agwe, the first Polytechnic, we were also commended for securing MBT accreditation for 11 new engineering programs and for improvements in its laboratories, workshops, library, and so on. Completion of its campus road network and continued government support is hereby recommended. There is need they have good structures, good workshops, good laboratories, but they don't have the roads to access these facilities. So it will do well for His Excellency to consider improving the road networks within the campus of the university. Overall, the visitation confirmed that Nasarawa State is implementing wide-ranging interventions in infrastructure, mineral processing, engineering education, vocational training, and human capital development. We consider these investments significant to employment creation, industrialization, skills development, and sustainable economic growth. We also observed that many of these achievements by His Excellency have not received adequate public visibility. A lot of members in my team were surprised at what they saw during the visitations. We therefore recommend that the state government should establish a professional development, communication, and documentation framework to systematically record, communicate, and preserve information on government projects and their impacts. Ultimately, we want to emphasize that the sustainability of these investments will depend on effective professional oversight, proper maintenance, comprehensive documentation, safety management, environmental stewardship, and continued investment in human capital. We want to affirm our willingness, Your Excellency, to deepen our partnership with the Nasarawa State Government by providing professional expertise and technical support towards the delivery of safe, resilient, sustainable, and economically productive infrastructure and the development of the state's engineering and technical workforce.
I'm happy that you have been able to do that towards the end of my tenure, because it is good for you to come here. I have been dealing with Mr. President since he was the president of Korea. When he came into Lafia and actually constructed the current office right now. I hope you visited the office. I will keep thanking him for that opportunity actually to be able for us to set up an office for here.
Thank you.
And now during his presidency, he is constructing the NSE. So this is double for you. So the NSE office. So that also means a lot for us that we are doing that. It's all part of the development in Lafia. I'm an engineer, but I started as a technician. So I actually went to technical college. And our kind of engineers are so attached and so proud of being engineers.
That's true.
Because I started actually from fitting, machining, and welding and fabrication. And then I used that as background. So you are looking at actually a certified first-class shielded metal and welding technician.
Welding machines.
And I used that actually to get a job in the US. So and I actually also a CNC machinist and programmer. So that's why I'm sure you are impressed with the wing commander, because I made sure that we have CNC machines there. I was looking for Fanuc control or Mesotron, which will be conversational, but we couldn't get that. So that's why I ended up with the controls that you see there. Otherwise, I will have rushed through the programming for you so that we'll be able to have some mass production. So I thank you sincerely for visiting all these places that you have done. In fact, I would not have been so happy if you had visited all the flyovers and the underpass and that without visiting the wing commander. So I'm happy you have visited the wing commander because today, from all over the country, in fact, both ITF and NECA are training a lot of their technicians, at that institute. And we are lucky we have somebody that came from ITF, Dr. Yuga, who is also another hands-on, he's my senior. Yeah. He graduated from Government Technical College before me.
Okay.
So he's also a first-class technician. So we are happy to have him there, and he's doing a wonderful job for us. That's why we continue to attract people that come from everywhere to be trained there. So that's something that we are very, very proud of that institute. A lot of people are so excited about our overhead and our flyovers and all that, but that is my own destination. I'm proud of that. We have been able to do a lot of things that we have not been able to do ordinarily. So that's why I thank you, and I'm happy you dragged Engineer Margaret Aina to come and see that institute, because that's an institute I always wanted her to come and see when she was the president. So I thank you actually for doing that. I noticed that you visited, the new energy, which is the bigger lithium plant. Another time, I think you will be able to do that. I noticed that in Akwanga, you have visited the overpass, you say the bypass and the underpass and all those bypass, but you have not visited the hospital, the specialist hospital. That is another technology that I was thinking you would visit. I'm a mechanical engineer, by the way. I'm not civil, but that's why a lot of we have people here who are master architects. Just like you have seen what you saw at it's the same person actually. The architect for our secretariat, is the same architect that came up with masterpiece, for that hospital, the specialist hospital also. And it's on your way, so I don't know again. Mr. President, for local chairman, you didn't take them to all these key places so that we can actually learn from them, because some of them are more experienced than some of us. So just like he's saying, we would have been able to learn. This is the kind of technology we are trying to do so that we can hear from you, and then it will help us to do that. We are building a specialist hospital with trauma center. We are trying to make sure we have two tertiary medical centers already. We have the teaching hospital, as you know, here in Lafia, and then we have the FMC in Kenya. So we decided in this particular one, we are going to have the specialist hospital. And we want to make it a masterpiece, so that it will be a real legacy. Because this is the one we are building from ground zero on our own. So that's the type of thing that I don't blame anybody, I blame myself really. I would have asked for your itinerary, say where in here we are going. So that way I will have also made some commendation and some input and some comments. So that is also one area maybe you can take a look at it. The civil engineers amongst you can actually make a suggestion and then see where we go from there. I thank you sincerely for all your observations and your recommendations, especially with the faculty of engineering we have in Woody. Actually, that one came up overnight. This one is something we built from zero. When we started the faculty here in, the institute here in Lafia, we had the dream of going straight into the institute. Because as I said, my background being a technical school, so I wanted to duplicate government technical college. That's it. That's what I was looking forward to. And not government technical college of today. My boss, Ayitongo, is there. He will tell you, the government technical college of those days, where if you had gone there, you will see the electrical installation, the fitter machineries, the motor mechanics, insurance, the carpentry and joinery, also master that we had, because we had one of the best in the country.
That's true.
So I was looking forward actually to duplicate it right here. Because that time, like we are making a joke with the legal profession, is saying NSE doing their own bill. What is the other one? We've always also pull the legs of GTTS Makodi and GTTS Kano. To say Butex is the one. So how many people went to Butex here?
1992.
Adogo. Butex, eh?
91.
91.
86.
86. Okay, closer. I'm the class of 1980. Yeah, so that's so that's but I'm not asking you because if I ask that it will be 1970 something. So that's why I better be quiet on that. So I think that's really what happened. So I thank you for that. But we will go ahead and see if we can upgrade it to bring it. But the original construction, the whole concept, is not actually to look like this one. That's why it will be difficult.
Okay.
But we'll do the best we can. I think you have seen just the workshop where we had some old, smaller, leg machines, and one vertical drilling machine.
Yes.
You have that. But even that, a lot of them don't use them.
Yes.
They don't use them. So some people are afraid of machines. The moment it is a rotating machine, some people run away. So, so you have, especially with big spindles, because those ones are smaller spindle machines that we have. You have a big spindle machine now, at the moment it turns, a lot of people run away. This guy you see here, he will run away the moment he sees a real big spindle machine. So those are the kind of things. So we'll do the best we can. I have everything you have said, and it is perfectly in order. About the regular power supply and that. And one of the things that we think is legacy, I don't see him here, but it's what happened at the Polytechnic. I think the president is very much aware that Polytechnic was actually established around the year 2002 or 2003, somewhere there.
Yes.
But truly speaking, it wasn't a Polytechnic until we came.
Yes.
Because there was no accreditation of the technical, that's why you don't have the roads.
Yeah.
So we are so lucky that MBT.
MBT, yes.
Decided to even give us accreditation for some of the courses. Otherwise, from the beginning, no workshop, some of those no machines, and so the accreditation is a polytechnic, but maybe just one. It was more like a monotechnic, really, because it was only one engineering course that had accreditation. The rest were economics, geography, international relations, this and that. That's the courses that were. I'm not
Polytechnic.
I'm just saying that they don't constitute a polytechnic.
Yeah.
When you do that. So those were the kind of things that happened. But today, I don't know how many they told you, and they have over 10.
11.
So now they have 11 courses that have accreditation. So they can comfortably sit and say, we are a polytechnic now. We'll try to be developed by the grace of God in November.
Thank you, sir.
To be part of the opening. Since the opening, we want to be
Yes,
part
sir.
of the opening.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much.